Hello everyone and thank you for tuning into TradeChat. My name's Panzer and today I'm going to be talking about the Warlock class changes in patch 7.0. I hope that you enjoy this video, and if you do, remember to rate it thumbs up. In Legion, the prominent theme for all class changes is to better align gameplay with lore, and the lore of a Warlock is intense. Warlocks are the most volatile and insatiable of all spellcasters in WoW. They will stop at nothing to understand and harness the darkest of magics and demonic forces. Warlocks' greatest abilities are fueled by the souls they've harvested from their victims. They manipulate and degrade the minds and bodies of their enemies. Their best friends are demons that they forcefully summon from the twisting nether to do their unsavory bidding. They literally make it rain fire from the sky. Warlocks have zero chill. The class changes in Legion will reinforce what exactly it is to be a Warlock and delve further into what differentiates each spec. Affliction and Destruction are both in pretty good places right now as far as thematic gameplay, so we're going to see most of the changes for Demonology focused on summoning and commanding demons. The most universal difference for all specs of Warlock in patch 7.0 is that everyone now uses soul shards instead of having their own unique resources. There will also be some changes made to demons to incentivize using a variety of demons, and so that each spec of Warlock has their own preferred demon. And to further reinforce the differences in each spec, Blizzard will also be updating some of the damage over time spells. Keep in mind that Draenor perks and major glyphs are being removed in 7.0, but a lot of their functionalities are being baked into your spec or talents or abilities. Minor glyphs, however, are still a thing. They're just all aesthetic. So probably the coolest one for Warlocks is all of the appearances of your demons that come from Grimoire of Supremacy now are available in minor glyphs that you can use whenever you want. You are limited to one minor glyph per spell. The fantasy of an Affliction Warlock is straight up terrifying. They take joy in causing intense pain and suffering in their victims as they siphon the vitality from them and inflict all of these crazy, prolonged, painful abilities while just eating their souls alive. It's not pleasant, but I guess good news is that Affliction Warlock's gameplay is already right there in terms of fantasy, so we're not going to see a whole lot of changes being made to the spec as a whole. Most of it is just tweak and polish. We will, however, see their damage over time spells being sort of redefined in the ways that they are used. Corruption is now just a damaging ability and no longer generates soul shards. Agony is the new soul shard generator, retaining the stacking mechanic it had in Warlords. Unstable Affliction is now the nuking spell, with its damage functioning in a similar way that Ignite does for mages. It is the main spell that Affliction Warlocks use to consume soul shards. The Fell Hunter is the designated pet of Affliction Warlocks. In Legion, the artifact weapon for Affliction Warlocks is Althalesh, the Deadwind Harvester. Like Affliction Warlocks, Destruction Warlocks are also freaking terrifying. The fantasy of a Destruction Warlock is literally just controlling a super powerful, destructive, magical force to inflict sheer chaos on your victims. They're kind of like fire mages, only I'm pretty sure they have zero conscience and don't care who they hurt in the process. Remember when we talked about fire raining from the sky? Yeah, that's their thing. They're sort of into that. And the gameplay of a Destruction Warlock is already also pretty much there. Warlocks are scary, man. I don't know how I feel about them. Anyways, in Legion, we won't see too many changes to Destruction Warlocks because they're already in a pretty good place thematically and mechanically. So most of what we're seeing is just polish and some tweaks to further reinforce the fantasy of what it is to be a Destruction Warlock, which is chaos incarnate, pretty much. Immolate is still the only damage over time effect for Destruction Warlocks, and it also has a 15% chance to generate one soul shard per tick. Incinerate is now just a normal filler spell, doing nothing special, really. Conflagrate is now a main resource generator and no longer decreases the cast time of Incinerate or Chaos Bolt. In 7.0, Chaos Bolt will remain as the resource spender for Affliction Warlocks, and it will also retain the resource cost of 2 soul shards per cast. The Imp is the designated pet for Destruction Warlocks. In Legion, Destruction Warlock's artifact weapon is called Scepter of Sargeras. Not unlike Affliction or Destruction Warlocks, the fantasy of a Demonology Warlock is also terrifying. Demonology Warlocks murder their enemies and then harvest their souls. Then with that life force energy, they tap into the void, where they then summon demons against their will, lots of them, make them do whatever they feel like doing, which is generally murder, because that's what warlocks do, and then when they're done with them, they just kick them to the curb without even so much as a thank you. Demonology warlocks don't understand why other people in the World of Warcraft think that they're wicked and chaotic. Well, newsflash, Demonology warlocks, it's because you're doing wicked and chaotic things. Murdering and soul harvesting and kidnapping demons, that's wicked and chaotic, don't you think? Since Blizzard obviously wants to shift the focus of Demonology Warlocks to summoning and commanding demons to do their bidding, they're going to be seeing the most class changes and in turn losing the most core abilities. RIP Metamorphosis. Doom is the only traditional dot effect that Demonology Warlocks retained in Legion, and it's not even really a traditional damage over time spell since all of its damage is done in one lump sum after a period of time. It is also a soul shard generator. Shadow Bolt is still your main spell for resource generation and also your main filler spell. Hand of Gul'dan has been changed so that it now has a demon summoning effect. For every soul shard it uses, it summons a wild imp in return. It's one of your two main resource spenders, and it's kind of just a fancy dot ability, but it's not a real dot ability because that's not what Demonology does, yo. Call Dreadstalkers is a resource spending ability that costs 2 soul shards per cast on a 15-second cooldown. It always summons 2 Dreadstalkers per cast. This is your other main resource spender, and it's also sort of just like a fancy dot, but not really a dot. It's like a pseudo dot. Demonic Empowerment is a new core ability, which when casted empowers all of your current demons, granting them increased haste and increased health. You're going to want to try to have your demons empowered as much as possible. The Felguard is the designated pet for Demonology. In Legion, Demonology Warlocks will wield the artifacts called Skull of the Minari and Spine of Thalkiel. So to highlight everything that we just talked about, all Warlocks are going to use soul shards as their secondary resource rather than having a unique secondary resource for each spec. Each spec, however, will have their own preferred demon and their own sort of like dot ability. Affliction is already in a pretty good place with a focus on dots and soul corruption and whatnot, but the focus in Legion will be more on more dots on more targets. Now, as far as destruction goes, they're already in a really good place. They're seeing the least changes out of all the warlocks because they're already doing like maniacal fire raining from the sky type abilities. So yeah, good place, all right. Demonology Warlocks, however, will be seeing the most changes because Blizzard wants to shift the focus of Demonology Warlocks from being the demon to summoning and controlling the demons to do their bidding. So RIP in pieces, Metamorphosis, but on the bright side, you're going to get tons more demon pals to just rip from the void whenever you feel like it so that they can do stuff for you. Stuff. Yeah, in summary, all warlocks are horrifying. But yeah, so that's about it for today's Warlock video. I believe the next one is going to be Rogues. I know they've gotten a little out of order here. Alphabets are hard, okay? That's really not what it is. They've just kind of, as they've gotten written, I have been trying to get the videos out and we got a little disorganized here at the end. But I'm pretty sure Rogues are going to be tomorrow and then Shamans and then Warriors, but it might be Warriors and then Shamans. It's just going to kind of depend on how the bones roll. That was a rogue joke. I'm gonna go. If you are a warlock and you want to tell me how you feel about these changes, I would love to hear it. Leave me a comment in the comment section below about whether you like or dislike the warlock changes. I assume that if you're talking about warlock changes, you're talking about demonology because affliction and destruction don't really get changed too much, but that's not really a bad thing because most people who are experiencing class changes are not happy about it because change! I'm gonna go. I hope you guys are all having a wonderful day. I love you all. You're in my hearts. I'll see you soon. Goodbye. 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 You know, instead, you're gonna get all these not dot abilities that allow you to pull imps and demons and whatnot from the void to do your unsavory bidding. I think that was a pretty good recap. I mean, if I do say so myself, I think I summed that up quite nicely. I'm sorry. I'm beginning to get delirious. I've just been doing nothing but writing and filming and editing and writing and filming and editing and researching, and the whole time it's like 90 degrees in my office and I'm dying of heat stroke. So Work, 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 work. It's not okay. It's not okay.